Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet may just be the single greatest achievement in the history of mankind. The fact that this movie is not complete dog shit impresses me beyond belief, and every single person that worked on this movie should be given an Oscar, a Grammy, and a Nobel Peace Prize. This film just had all the disadvantages. It was coming off of a premise that was horribly executed by Sony, and it's a sequel to the original Wreck-It Ralph, a film so shallow and so basic it only survived because of the video game characters placed within it, and even then, all of the good cameos were shown to us before the film was even released. But this film actually has some semblance of quality. That's not to say that there aren't huge problems with this film, but there's some genuinely great things here. Similar to the films I've already mentioned, Wreck-It Ralph 2 seriously relies upon all of the source material. And on one hand, it's a blessing, and on the other hand, it's a curse. On one end, you have an infinite amount of source material to work with here. It's not particularly hard to find something inventive or funny. But when you try and shove everything that comes to mind into, a 2-hour movie, there's no room for character development. And to an extent, that still sticks true here. It was shocking to say the least when I found out that these jokes were actually pretty damn inspired. I thought that all of them would just come off as cringy and forced like the Emoji Movie, but that's not the case at all. Most of these jokes are really inspired and creative, and I didn't suspect most of them. And for the most part, these jokes are built up. It's not like you just have a bunch of one-off jokes. Yeah, there are some, and there's no place for them, like randomly throwing in Fortnite references because it just ends up hampering the movie as a whole. But with that said, there are so many, like the viral videos that Ralph makes and the search engine jokes, that just feel as though there was actual thought put into them. I really appreciated it. And I must say that the Oh My Disney part is nothing short of perfection and creative genius here. It doesn't overstay its welcome, it's wonderfully self-aware, and it simultaneously pays respect to the immense catalog of characters that Disney owns. The nostalgia here may take away from the legitimacy of my praises, but I just can't help but adore this wonderful tribute to my childhood that truly is one of my favorite segments of filmmaking of the entire year. Now, while the good outweighs the bad, you have to admit that some of these one-off references, like the ones to Fortnite, only serve to take me out of the film by breaking the immersion because I'm just so induced with rage because cringe is just getting infused into my bones without consent. I mean, I gave open sighs of disappointment because these jokes were just so atrocious, because they feel as though they belong in some shitty sequel to the Emoji Movie where they search for hentai and anime. Not here. The jokes just feel lazy and uninspired. And well, speaking of lazy and uninspired, we have to talk about the way Wreck-It Ralph 2 looks, because this film is hideous. It's like the guys at Disney went over to Sony, asked for all the guys who designed the Emoji Movie to come over, and then pay them just a little more money. You'd think that Disney, with its endless supply of cash, would make it a promise by now that all of their films would be pleasant to look at, but that is simply not the case here. And I get it, the internet is ineffable, it can't be properly expressed by humans, but you can't just throw in a bunch of buildings, put website names on them, have a bunch of floating cars and blocks hanging around, and expect me to call it pretty, because it's not. This film hurts my eyes, and the world is just bland and ugly. And well, now that we've gone over the comedy and the design of the film, let's talk about the important stuff, the characters, and well, it's an interesting beast. If you wanted proof that the side characters of the original Wreck-It Ralph sucked, look no further than this film. Fix-It Felix, who was used for pretty much the entirety of the first film, is cast aside here until one good gag at the end with his she-man girlfriend. But it's a miracle! Because no one cared about those characters, and now all the side characters are practically just used for jokes, like the shady guy who introduces Ralph to the virus, or Taraji P. Henson's character. But they're not breaking any new ground here. It's not Toy Story levels of depth of side characters, but they're at least memorable. The exception here is Gal Gadot's character, who sucks the fun out of every single scene she is in. No scene in this film with her is entertaining in the slightest. She delivers her lines with just a lack of inflection, and hell, maybe that's the way she was told to play it, but that doesn't seem to be the case. And even if that was the way she was supposed to play, everything here just sounds so generic. It's like these lines were just stolen from other films, but just delivered more poorly. And if there's one thing I revealed about myself as a YouTuber is that I hate when segments go on for too long, and it's no different here. I don't know why they have to spend like 10 minutes introducing this new world that Gal Gadot's character is in. I could have gotten the gist of the world in like half of that time, and somehow, some way, they have created a car chase that is too long. I don't know how they did it. It was actually amazing to see it play out in the theater, but it is a car chase devoid of fun, excitement, and tension. I get that this isn't an action film, but when you have these long, drawn-out sequences of action, you better make sure they're exciting. So the final aspect we gotta talk about here is the main characters and their growth, and well, this film utterly fails, and it's mainly because of the first film in all honesty. There's a lot of time devoted to Vanellope here, and well, her struggle with her identity would be interesting if she was built up properly in the first film. However, I wasn't, compelled to like her or to care about her in the first film, so I certainly didn't care about her here. So I wasn't invested in her struggle at all throughout the entirety of the film. And Jesus Christ, if I have to hear that voice one more time. And once again, there is this recognition that the first Wreck-It Ralph failed at character development, because it's like they planned out the story here and planned out the jokes they wanted to use, but just forgot about actually developing the characters. There is no gradual growth throughout this film. Yes, there are specific points where the characters change, but it's not like they're continuously growing throughout the film. It just feels very formulaic in that sense, and because of that, everything in this film just felt so predictable. And you gotta talk about Ralph. He's the main character of the film, there are a lot of layers to him, but, if you really boil it down, he's just a fucking bumbling idiot. The reason why they have to go on this journey in the first place is all because of Ralph's own stupidity. The reason why they have to prolong it, because of his own stupidity. The reason why the internet crashes, because of his own stupidity. And it's not even his just stupidity. I mean, it is, but it's not just that. It's also his incessant need to be with Vanellope. It's creepy, it's disgusting, and it just gave me cringe all over the entirety of this film. Even more so than the Fortnite references. How anyone could like him, I just don't know. It's just one of the great mysteries of life. But one of the great mysteries of life is also how this film isn't complete garbage. Yeah, the main characters may suck, their development is practically non-existent, and some of the jokes are pretty damn cringy, but hey, most of the jokes hit their mark, though my Disney part is incredible and a lot of the supporting cast is pretty damn good. I'm gonna give Wreck-It Ralph 2 a 5 out of 10. See at your own discretion. Everyone watching this video, have a beautiful day and see you all next time.